Hello, and welcome to Sideways. This week, we're talking about how likeable you are, or how much status you have amongst your peers. You might be thinking to yourself, what do these two know about likeability and status? And if so, that's quite rude, whilst being painfully accurate. We also chat about the cult of fake tanning, and exchange stories about lying to the children. Popularity.
Good morning.
Have you got new glasses on?
No, they're the same ones I had last time. You said, are they new glasses?
Am I becoming repetitive?
Yeah, very much so, yeah. You're spending too much time on your own.
I like spending time on my own, though. I'm my favourite person.
Yeah, you're very popular with yourself.
Oh, you're straight in this week, aren't you?
That was well, I was fed up with the small talk. I wanted to get straight on with it.
Wasting no time at all. So is that what we're talking about this week? Popularity?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about that because I thought, crikey, you're going to have to do a lot of research on that, aren't you? Because you're not going to know anything naturally about it.
I don't know what my notes just, my pen was just a light. Everything just flowed very easily. But in fact, this is one of your ideas.
I don't know where it came from.
No, I don't know. But I thought it was quite good, really, because, I mean, especially in these days of sort of social media being a driving force as the way we measure popularity. I know we've talked a bit about that in the past.
Yeah, I think I thought to myself that it was probably, I mean, apart from it being important for all of us, it struck me that it was probably something that was quite important in the recovery community, because I suspect most people who go into recovery don't feel very popular.
If there's I'm trying to think of an extreme opposite to popular rather than just unpopular.
How about very unpopular?
Very unpopular. That's certainly how you feel. Yeah, you're right. It's a good point. But I think it's quite an interesting subject, and the more I researched it, the more interesting it became. But before we start,
yeah,
have you got a before we start this week? 'Cause I know you sort of jumped in last week and sort of hijacked it.
Not really. I did have a question I wanted to ask you. I don't know why. I can't even remember now why I wanted to ask you this question. I can remember saying to my daughter, I'm going to ask Martin that. My daughter was telling me she was just about to fake tan.
Okay.
I was wondering if you'd ever faked tanned.
No, I haven't. No. I've never felt the necessity to do so, I must admit. I tend to go brown quite easily anyway.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because that is exactly what I then went on to say to I think maybe both my children were around at the time. But when you've been away on holiday, you do look as if you are from sunnier climes when you come back. Yeah. I mean, not just that you've been on holiday, you look as if you are in some way of somewhere else, you say.
You're desperately trying to be PC in whatever you're going to say there, and I applaud you.
Yeah, I'm desperately trying not to say anything that could be construed as in any way racist.
Yeah, or
because that's not my intention at all. But exactly. I can remember there being times in our younger days when you would come back from holiday and comments would be made about just how brown you were.
Yeah, and it wasn't something which I purposely. I don't go and lay on sunbeds or lay out, beside the pool. It's just running around. I just tend to tan quite easily. Certainly working outside during the summer. I get a bit of a glow, that's for sure.
Whereas I could be in the desert for several months and still be pasty, pale and interesting.
Well, that's how you paleys like to justify it to yourself.
Yeah, well, my daughter is constantly criticising me for having given her that particular gene, because she's the same, of pale skin.
So she's charging you for her trips to the tanning salon, is she?
Well, I think a lot of the youngsters now, they fake tan, don't they? It's it's a thing.
Yeah, I know.
I can remember when we were younger, you wouldn't tell anyone about fake tanning, would you? Even if you did it, you wouldn't tell anyone. And obviously you look all blotchy anyway, so everybody would know. But these days, I think fake tanning is quite it's like having a drink.
Is it as acceptable as that?
I think it is. I think pretty much it's just, that's what you do.
Is it?
You're going out in the evening, you change your clothes, you fake tan. Well, you probably don't do it in that order. But
no.
Yeah. Anyway, there we are.
It's a hidden world, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a It's full of the unknown.
It is, isn't it? Well, I think there's probably a lot of that you can edit out, but I'm sure there's.
I don't know if I need to actually, because actually the whole thing about fake tanning is about increasing popularity, isn't it?
Oh, I like it. So there was a semblance of I suppose
relevance.
Hey,
relevance.
That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, thanks for helping me out on that one. Yeah.
No problem. Well, yeah, but I only just thought of that relevance.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like the work. I like you. I'm enjoying your work. You're thinking on your feet.
That's what I have to, don't I? Because I don't have any preparation to go on.
Well, my before we start is story, which is a little anecdote, and it is relevant.
Okay.
Well, I've sort of shoehorned it in, but it's a story about where a couple of parents became unpopular with their young children.
Okay.
Right. It comes from my first job I had back in 1980, and I worked at the Norwich Union. You probably remember.
I do remember. You were down just below the TSB, weren't you?
We were down in Earl Street, yeah. And the manager there, Pat Lilly, he and his wife had triplets. So you can imagine that was quite a big deal. There's a lot of work when it came to their birthdays and organising, kids' parties and that sort of thing. And they decided one year when they were young, they decided not to tell them that it was their birthday because it would be more convenient for him and his wife to sort out their presents than have a party the following week. Okay, so they sort of lied to them. Now they thought that was quite a good idea. Unfortunately, the triplets had just started school. Okay, and they went into school, and the headmaster made them stand up in assembly and had everyone sing "Happy Birthday" to them. So you can imagine they were completely confused. But I thought it was quite a nice little story. It's one that I remember him telling. Well, many years back, so it's 40 odd years ago now, and it's still makes me laugh.
Did they assume that the headmaster had got it wrong, or that their parents had got it wrong?
It confused the poor little lads. They had to take it up with their parents when they got home. Yeah,
I wonder. You don't know how their parents got out of that particular.
I don't. He didn't go on to that because I think when he was telling us, we were laughing too much to actually find out what the result was. But
yeah, the only thing I can think of that's similar to that is that when the children were small, we used to change the clocks on New Year's Eve, so they'd think they'd stayed up till midnight, but really it was only 7:30. And then we could put them to bed and get absolutely hammered.
Oh yeah, that was your modus operandi, was it?
Well, it was back in the day, wasn't it? These days, I'm usually in bed by about 9:30, and I've had some nice roasted vegetables for my dinner.
In bed way before the kids these days, yeah.
Oh, definitely, yeah, no question about that. In fact, I'm often getting up when they're coming in.
Yeah.
Either for a wee or for my breakfast.
How things change, eh?
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the subject matter then.
Go on then.
Okay, I'd look up a couple of definitions on popularity.
Yeah.
I found out that the term popularity is borrowed from the Latin term popularis, which originally meant common, which is a bit strange, but there we go. So that's a little bit of intellectual knowledge you've gained today. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Because we do use it in that way, don't we? To mean something quite common.
Yeah, we do. And
popular culture is something that's common in culture, right?
Yeah, you're right. So it's we've used the Latin roots quite perfectly there, really, haven't we?
The only thing that we don't apply the word popular to is you.
Well, that's your perception. I'm going to come on to that in a minute.
All right.
But Wikipedia tells us that in sociology, popularity is how much a person or an idea, a place or an item or other concept is either liked or accorded status to by other people.
That's interesting because there's I can remember read something about popularity, a study about popularity, someone who'd done a lot of work on popularity, who actually separated out two of those things that you said there. They separated popularity in terms of being likable from popularity in terms of status, but maybe we'll come back to that.
We will be coming on to that because exactly where I was. Yeah,
you're going there as well, are you?
I'm going there. Exactly, that's where I'm going. Because it then started to go into the more complex areas, because it talked about sociometric popularity and perceived popularity, which was basically likability versus social status.
Correct.
So I've broken it down a bit further, and I'm glad you're on the same page as me on that one.
Yeah.
Because sociometric popularity, which can basically is likability, or how liked an individual or a certain thing is. Yeah. And often those people are known for someone who has sociometric popularity. They're often known for their interpersonal abilities, their empathy for others, and their willingness to cooperate non-aggressively. That's what it came up as. And so I was trying to think of someone that would fit that, to illustrate that. And I did come up with a name. I don't know if you...
Me, was it?
No, I think you fall more into the second category, but we'll come on to that in a minute. I was thinking of someone
Gandhi.
famous.
Gandhi.
Gandhi could be Gandhi. But the person I thought of to illustrate that was Stephen Fry. I think he probably fits.
Stephen Fry, that's interesting. Why Stephen Fry?
He seems to tick all the boxes if you're looking at a checklist for people that who are sociometrically popular.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd not really thought of it from that angle. People that I don't know but are in the public eye that you... I agree, actually. You do get that feeling about him, don't you?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you who I'd see as the antithesis of that.
Okay.
Jeremy Clarkson.
Jeremy Clarkson, okay.
He's a sort of guy who, if I knew him, I'm pretty certain I wouldn't like him at all.
We'll come on to that then, because he probably falls very much into the perceived popularity, which is the other sort of popularity. So it's where they have social status. Perceived popularity is used to describe those individuals who are known amongst their peers as being popular. So unlike the people in the first group, perceived popularity is often associated with aggression and dominance, and not dependent upon pro-social behaviours.
No, these are the if you're at school, these are the cool kids.
Yeah, they are. Well, this form of popularity is sort of exploited and explored by the popular media. It feeds into the social networking narrative quite well. Yeah,
but if you think about because the roots of our feelings and our perceptions about popularity are set in childhood. If I think about people who fall into that category in childhood, in school, they tend to be the people that you don't necessarily like, but you feel like you've got to be in with.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you are kind of ostracized or bullied.
Yeah, on the outside.
Perhaps, yeah.
Absolutely right. I mean, individuals who have perceived popularity, a bit like Jeremy Clarkson, really, they're highly socially visible.
Yeah.
And often they're frequently emulated, apparently, but rarely liked.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to think of a person. You've jumped in with Jeremy Clarkson. I was trying to think of someone who would fit that as the opposite end of the scale to Stephen Fry. Right. And I've come up with two people, actually. I've come up with the Cray twins. Because I mean, we've got this continued fascination with their story. There's so many documentaries and film adaptations of their life, and we're fascinated by them. But they're really, really horrible people. And so they fall into this perceived popularity because people think other people like them, and obviously they force their popularity onto people with violence, really, don't they?
Yeah, I mean that feels like quite an extreme one, quite an extreme example. But yes, you're right. I mean, they're certainly popular in as much as they are very well known, and as you say, people are kind of very interested in them.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think of. I suppose the obvious example, one of the things that's been very much in the zeitgeist in the past few years is the idea of having populist governments. I mean, we've got a populist prime minister.
Yeah, yeah.
So, he's very divisive. So there are some people who absolutely worship him and some people think he's an absolute clown.
Yeah, yeah.
But his popularity is really about being influential, being dominant, being powerful.
Exactly.
So, Trump was like that as well.
Trump, yeah. So Trump and Boris Johnson fall into that second category.
Very similar to the Cray twins, in fact.
very similar to that. The way they carry on sometimes, it does make you wonder if they're influenced by that.
They make the Cray twins look like Fry and Laurie.
Anyway, yeah. So I was just perhaps I should have warned you beforehand to think of people that fall into those two categories.
That's good. I like being put on the spot.
I know you do it. I think it lacks fluidity. I think then, doesn't it? If we don't use that, use the approach that we're using.
Don't let me prepare, because it will go wrong if I prepare.
I know. Yeah, you'd get nervous then, wouldn't you?
Yeah, probably.
I couldn't have that on my conscience. Anyway, so I did some further research. Obviously, I didn't just leave it there.
Yeah.
Which led me to someone called Dr. Mitch Prinstein, who apparently is one of the premier researchers on the psychology of popularity.
Right.
He teaches a course on it in one of the universities in America. And he has a book out at the moment called Popular. It's not the snappiest of titles, really, is it?
I mean, it does what it says on the tin.
It does, yeah. But what it explains why many of us have misconceptions about popularity and its impact on our lives. And there's a lot of stuff in there, and I sort of sifted through it. But basically, he's saying that we should strive to be more likable through genuine, positive relationship building behaviour. That seemed like common sense to me, but he sold a whole book based around it.
Yeah, but this is kind of part of the problem, isn't it? Maybe you're going to come on and talk about this. Part of the problem is that we value kind of material wealth more than we do emotional wealth, and status is one of the things that is a reflection of material wealth. So that's why I think we seem to value status more than we do likability, because likability doesn't get you anything except emotional enrichment, which we kind of undervalue.
Yeah, we do totally. And I think the next couple of sentences I've got here is winding up my notes is. Touches on exactly that, because again in this book, this popular book, he says that there's nothing wrong with wanting to rise in status, but it does become a problem when it's a singular force or a singular focus, I should say, really. I think we've all come across these people, and certainly when you and I are working in the corporate world, these people seem to be ruthlessly focused upon achieving, getting the high status they can within the company. And in my notes, I've just put, just in brackets, wankers on The Apprentice, which perhaps I shouldn't use that word, but it is, to me, that sort of sums up with everything that's wrong about the corporate world.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. I mean, they've become, I don't watch it anymore, but whenever I have kind of caught a glimpse of it, it feels as if the contestants in that show are just parodies of themselves, really. It's like if you were going to parody someone who was ruthlessly ambitious without really much to back it up, you'd look at all the people that are contestants on The Apprentice, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would. And I know it's a TV show, so they're probably going to edit it and trying to make it look as bad as it possibly can be for the ratings figures. But unfortunately, that does influence how people think. And again, that will make people think that is the way to succeed in business.
Yeah, I mean, and most of the stuff they focus on there is all about, obviously, as it would be, acquisition and ostentatious ownership of stuff and wealth.
Yeah,
and so that's the thing about social media, isn't it? People don't use social media or things like Instagram in order to demonstrate their likability very much. Most people are using social media to demonstrate some sort of status, some sort of achievement, some sort of, I know I don't, because I just put on pictures of me walking the dogs, which is probably why I've only got about 14 followers. But, there you go.
Actually, I did have a nice little bit of feedback from one of the girls in group. She sent the link of her last podcast to her mum.
Oh, yeah.
And her impression, she came back and said, "Oh, I like the birds singing at the beginning," which I thought was. She said the rest was absolute rubbish. No, she didn't say that, but that was the overriding, because you record that little introduction, obviously, when you're out walking Daisy or whatever, don't you?
I do, yeah.
And there's some nice sounds of nature in the background. So that's a bit of an aside there, but I thought I'd throw that in before I forgot.
Well, no, it's kind of relevant, isn't it? Because that popularity is about liking something. There's no status in listening to birds singing, but it's nice, isn't it? It's kind of gentle, and as you're kind of suggesting there, is better than most of what comes after it.
That's the highlight.
If it's a choice between a blackbird singing in a tree and you and I wittering on for 40 minutes, it's a bit of a no contest, isn't it?
Yeah, we sort of peak too early, perhaps, in the episodes. Yeah, that's it. It's as good as it gets.
We should put out an episode one week with just birdsong.
Just birdsong. Well, I can find that on the Spotify search. Birdsong, there's loads of all that along there. If you want to sort of the chaffinch mating call, I'm your man.
I might just record a very long introduction one week where I'm just sort of traipsing through the mud in my Wellingtons, listening to the birds. Put that out. Put about half an hour of that out. We'll probably get more downloads than we do for the average episode.
Out of fascination, but I think the listening figures would drop off dramatically after that.
Well, not with twitchers.
I know. No, that's an untapped market.
we might get Bill Oddie interested.
Where would he fall into that category?
Well, I was just thinking about that because I don't know Bill Oddie, but I've heard or read that he's quite cantankerous.
Is he?
Yeah.
So I've sort of come towards the end really, but the last part of the book review I was reading for this Dr. Mitch Prinstein, it said he concludes that the reality is that people with high status may often use negative tactics like bullying, intimidation and power assertion to rise to the top. And those who prioritise their likability rather than using those tactics are amongst the most happy and successful people in society.
Yeah. Well,
which you've already touched on earlier on, and you're absolutely right. You're sort of you're emotionally you're in a much stronger position.
Yeah, but it's less visible in society. It's like society values and worships the extrovert. We're really fascinated and kind of lured into the idea that people who have got lots of charisma are somehow better.
Yeah.
But it's a nonsense, because people who are more introverted and quieter and more reflective are just as valuable in society. But we've come to place a higher value on things that are shiny.
Yeah, it just always reminds me of someone that was quite introvert. The drummer that used to be in their band, Charlie Mann, who was a sort of an introvert sort of guy. But when he did say something, it was always worth listening to, wasn't it? It was either very funny or was valuable. And he didn't waste time. He didn't waste time on trying to be popular or saying things that weren't necessary.
No, and interestingly, he's not on any social media. So there you go.
No.
What do you draw from that?
Yeah, well, exactly. The parallels are there.
You mentioned bullying there. I think it's worth just referencing bullying because bullying, certainly in school, tends to quite often have a dramatic impact on people's emotional well-being. It can stay with you for years and years and years and years afterwards, even when you might think to yourself, well, that happened sort of 20 years ago, that won't still be affecting me, but it does. And it really affects the way we feel about our popularity and how important it is to be popular. But the thing that's worth remembering with bullying that a lot of people don't really recognise or don't understand is that being bullied says much more about the emotional turmoil of the bully than it does about you. People who are being bullied mostly just unlucky. They've just been singled out because they're unlucky, not because there's something wrong with them. Were you ever bullied?
No, I wasn't. I was very careful. You were talking about earlier on about wanting to like the cool people and not wanting to be ostracised. I probably fell into that category.
Yeah.
I'd potentially hang around with perhaps the wrong sort of people sometimes, but it stopped me being bullied. Yeah, so there was probably some self-preservation in there.
I was bullied, but then that was probably because I was fat.
I remember when you were around, yes.
Just one other question. How do you think all this kind of affects people who are in recovery?
Are you saying that where popularity has a negative impact upon people in recovery?
Well, I suppose what I'm really trying to understand is when people come into recovery, I suspect, as I said earlier, that the sense of their own likability is pretty low.
Yeah.
And we know that if we don't feel kind of sure about how likable we are, the easiest thing to reach for is status, to try and make ourselves look good. Yeah. Make ourselves, even if we feel hollow inside, we can try and curate a kind of version of our lives that looks to other people as if we're kind of okay. And I wondered, I know people do that out of recovery. I wondered if that was more or kind of less prevalent in recovery.
Probably more. Certainly people coming in when you first go into recovery, and I would have done the same, as to sort of almost build up an image of yourself that, apart from this from this horrible drinking business that I've finally admitted to, everything else is great in the world, and I'm fine, and everything is going to be brilliant. Where inside you're dying. So, and I do see that replicated in a lot of people that come into groups, initially. And then after a while, that disappears. That humility takes over, and you feel more comfortable in who you are and what you're doing. But it is a struggle to come to terms with the whole change in your lifestyle at that point,
If you feel like you're a decent person, you care much less about what other people's view of you is, because it's like, well, I know how I am. I know I'm a kind, gentle, well-meaning soul. And so I don't really care what other people think. Well, to some extent,
But that sort of wraps my notes up, really. I just wanted to see if there's anything else you wanted to add before we go on to our gratitude list, because my gratitude for this week is slightly convoluted, but it's slightly extended.
All right, go into your convoluted gratitude.
Okay, well, but it starts off quite simply as bacon rolls. Okay. So, I'm great. And the reason I'm grateful for bacon rolls is just that the place we're working at the moment, the house we're working on, they're giving us bacon rolls and coffee in the morning as sort of a mid-morning break, and they're treating us quite royally. And so it's always nice when people do that, and they're sort of feeding us up almost, and it's really nice. You feel really comfortable. But also, it's quite a big house we're working on, and the chap that owns it's got this man cave sort of on the side of the house. There's this big outbuilding. And he said, come in here at lunchtime. And come in here, and he's got a pool table, and he's got fruit machines and one of the old stand-up video games like Galaxian and all that going on in there, and a dartboard. But he's also got a bar in there. So we went in there. And the first thing you do is to open the fridge and grab out 3 bottles of beer and started opening them up. And I said, "Oh no, I don't drink alcohol." So I was talking about that in groups where people perceive you're going to be a drinker, especially if you're a workman like myself, a labourer, and they think that's where you're going to be a drinker. But that led on to me explaining the situation, which then was fine that we had a game. Well, later on in the afternoon, he sort of came up to me when I was working and said, "Can I have a word with you?" And then we had this discussion about a family member of his who'd actually had a stint in rehab, but was having terrible trouble, relapsed, etc., and got herself into great deal of trouble. So we had this great long discussion. I was able to signpost him as to where to go and to get the assessment done and how it was going to work and all that sort of thing. So I was quite grateful that I was able to be of assistance to that chap, quite out of the blue.
That's nice. You're right. That was convoluted.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was nothing to do with bacon rolls, was it at all?
No, it wasn't. But it led into it, fed into it.
For a moment, I'm quite pleased actually the way that story turned out. Because for a moment, I thought you were being groomed.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he locked the door behind me in the man cave.
I wondered how that was all going to end. No, that's nice. I suppose the message in there is that when you are open and you connect with people, I mean, you're being well treated, right? So you're being given food and drink and invited in for a game of pool and stuff. So that's a kind of, you're opening yourself up. You're being likeable, in fact.
Yeah.
And so don't forget, being likeable creates connection with other people, which gives you the opportunity to help like that. Whereas status actually tends not to connect you with people.
Sure. Good parallel drawn.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to know what I'm grateful for?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
This is going to surprise you, actually, I think.
Okay.
And it'll give you an opening to get on your soapbox about putting albums in the sleeves. I set my record player up this week. It's been kind of sitting in the spare room for ages. And it's lovely playing whole albums.
There is
rather than picking and choosing tracks like on Spotify or even with CDs.
Yeah.
It's lovely to put an album on and think, well, I can remember this song. Never used to listen to it very much. But to go through a piece of work from start to finish there's something really kind of comforting about that.
I agree. No, I think that's a great thing to have on your gratitude list. The old vinyl is nice. In fact, I've got my turntable set up in my bedroom, which is just, and sometimes I'll put on a side of an album and then it clicks off. when it's finished, and that's it. I go to
Do you
sleep.
put on some Barry White when you want some me time?
Yes. No, I do. It's not even soothing music I put on, but it is. But
No,
you
I
are
don't suppose it is with you.
but you are right. It's nice. There are tracks that you would have skipped over normally. It's much more difficult to skip tracks on vinyl. We've all done it in the past. Where you end up sort of playing the first bit of the last track and all sorts of bits. So it's more difficult to be track selective. So you tend to let it run.
So here's a question for you. I won't ask you the album. That'd be too impossible for you. But which artist do you think I chose to spin first on my turntable? I've got a feeling. I'll give you a little clue. I've got a feeling this artist might be in the overlap of our Venn diagram. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, but yours are all very unpopular artists, aren't they?
They're not. No, this is someone that you'll definitely. In fact, you will definitely have painted jackets for people.
Was it Rainbow?
No, it wasn't Rainbow. But it starts with the right letter.
Is it an American rock band?
They're Canadian, I believe.
Rush.
Correct.
Yeah. Hey. Oh, yeah. I love Rush. Yeah.
I thought you liked Rush. Yeah. So there we are. But although I expect you're a bit of a purist in only liking early Rush, aren't you?
Not really. Well, yes.
You're sort of knob that would have that attitude.
Well, yeah, I am that sort of knob. I'm a 2112 hemispheres sort of man.
Well, this was Signals, which was quite late, but it's a very good album. So there we are.
You're recommending it?
Very good it is. Yeah.
Well, that leads us on then to a Spotify search. Now we've slagged off that particular medium.
So I hope you've put on a song by Rush, because that would be absolutely perfect now.
I haven't actually. No. Well, there's songs by popularity, called Popularity on there, or Popular. There's one by Sparks. Remember Sparks? They're still going strong, actually, aren't they?
Well, haven't they just released another album after 32 years or something ridiculous?
Something like that. But it wasn't a very good track.
This town ain't big enough for the both of us.
Which was a cracking track, but it was very popular, but doesn't make the cut here, obviously, because their track called Popularity is quite poor. Okay. There's a song called Popular by the Veronicas that I quite liked. But the one I'm putting on is not actually, it hasn't got popularity in the title. But in the lyrics, it works well, and it's David Watts by The Jam.
That's a great song.
It's a brilliant song. It was originally written by the Kinks. I didn't realise that.
I didn't know that.
And they'd written it about this really cool record producer that they were called round to his house to discuss some items, bits and pieces. And he was a really cool guy, really popular, really laid back. And they loved it. And they wrote this song, David Watts, about him. And it works well. So I'm putting that in. But I like the version by The Jam. I think it's a bit more punchy. I've listened to the one by the Kinks, and it's a little bit more 60s-ish. But the Jam one brings it, I'll say, more up to date. It was still in the 80s.
Yeah. I wish I could be like David Watts.
Exactly. So the lyrics fit nicely in what we're trying to achieve. That's
actually quite clever for you. That would be one of the few tracks on that playlist that I really like. That's interesting, because I really like The Jam, but they're an artist that I've got no albums by.
Oh, that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. There we are.
There we go.
All right.
We ought to do it. Perhaps we do another podcast on that, on artists we like that we haven't actually got any of their material.
That's a good subject, actually. Yeah.
That'll get you thinking, won't it? They'll have to be a special, because it doesn't fit in with their normal narrative.
No. All right. Well, I'll see you later.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time.
Yeah. And you. Laters.
Bye.
Bye.
We had some feedback recently that the particularly enjoyable part of an episode was the bird song at the beginning. So here's a bit more for you.
Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen. And we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.